just because you apply for a job, don't think you can't apply for that job somewhere else. It's just that moment in time in that company's stage, size, whatever it is, that you may just not find yourself being successful.
Timing
there.
is everything.
Think about the skills that you have and how you might be able to transfer those into a different role.
And that's another great use case for AI for job seekers out there.
Welcome to the podcast, where we introduce you to incredible humans who share their journeys with the mission to inspire you to harness your own inner tenacity to drive your life and career forward. And now, your host, Adam Posner.
I'm here with Oli. So if my son Oli is watching this, I'm here with Oli. Oli, welcome to the podcast. I appreciate you joining me. Real quick, why don't you just tell everyone who you are, who you work for, and what do you do best there?
Yeah, I work for Udemy. I run all of talent acquisition and employer brand. I've been there for 4.5 years. We are a public learning company.
Well, I am familiar with you guys. How many employees do they have right now?
We're close to 1,400 globally.
So it's a large size organization. You have a lot of responsibility underneath you. Real quickly, how did you get into the people business?
Yeah, I think like most people coming out of college, you don't choose recruiting as your career path, but you somehow find your way there, right? So I found my way there through the agency side. So I spent 16 years of my career actually externally from organization. So I sort of have a flipped career path.
So you're an agency recruiter.
Yeah.
All right. This is where it gets funnier. So I have my own agency. I am technically an agency. What are those skill sets that agency recruiters have that when they go in-house, just incredible competitive advantage? Like, I mean, I know the answer. I think a lot of folks.
It's always be closing. I think like the cheesy, but I think it's they love the idea of closing candidates. So I think that that skill set of always having to do that when you're in an agency to really earn your pay.
I would add speed and urgency. I think that's inherently, because when you're an agency recruiter, obviously you want to close the deal as quickly as possible with the best possible candidate. The last thing you want is fallout, right? Yeah. So you can't just be shoving crap down a client's face. That's not what you want. So now being in-house, let's talk a little bit about sourcing. As much or as little as you want to share, what's the approach or the balance between inbound and outbound?
Yeah. Udemy has a really great brand. So I've been really lucky that my team has had a lot of inbound. So I think some of this is actually weeding through the applicants that we get to make sure that we're able to see everybody. But yeah, so we're about 50% we hire from our applicant pool, which is pretty high.
Well, it's showing incentives. I mean, if you put aside spray and pray, fraudulent, and like BS applications, someone's intent means they're showing interest in your company. So they already have that. What tools are you using to sift through the fraud and through the 100% unqualified applications?
Yeah. So we use Greenhouse as our applicant tracking tool. And, they've implemented a bunch of different AI functionality that we can take advantage of with human oversight, obviously, into that process. But we're using that right now, honestly. And then our recruiters are just, trained, to hire for skills. So they're looking really not just at the experience, but also at sort of the underlying factors that someone might have in there.
Let's take that a step further. How do they assess for skill? How do you and your team train them to not just do that 6-second resume scan?
Yeah. So we have skills built into our job descriptions too. So that's like a main part of it. So a lot of candidates are seeing that as their first look at a job description. And so the recruiters are taking that as they're doing the intakes with the hiring managers and understanding really from a rubric perspective, what do we mean when we're saying, this AI proficiency skill or, good communication, what is that going to look like when we're, dialing into a resume? So it feels very just like this framework and in theory. But in practice, when you actually translate it into a specific job, we started with our sales and CS teams. Okay. We created a persona. So a lot like marketing, where we looked at...
Like an avatar, say this is the ideal candidate, these are the skills
these are the people that are succeeding at Udemy right now too. That. And why are they succeeding? What have they done and had and skills do they possess that have made them successful here? And then we're targeting and going after that.
So let's talk the second part of the equation, the hiring managers. How do you ensure congruent teamwork, communication, prioritization between the recruiter and the hiring manager? Because let's be real.
Yeah.
That's where most of the fall off is. It's either misalignment, lack of prioritization, wild goose, whatever way you want to call it, right? So how do you align the teams from the beginning early on, and how do you ensure consistent alignment between the hiring and sometimes recalibration?
Yeah.
Let's be real. Sometimes the role that you think it should be evolves as you go through the search.
It does. I think you're looking for those moments of, okay, how many candidates has this hiring manager spoken to? How much time have we been in this process where we're not getting past, this stage? And so then it requires a realignment. I think what we've done nicely is we do have our recruiting managers and then our recruiters, and a lot of times bringing in another voice to help sort of, just say it in a different way. We also partner really closely with our people partners. So there is this really dynamic working group that we have that we can help the hiring manager sort of understand where these gaps are, why we're not kind of progressing the role.
So I absolutely love that. And my eyes kind of lit up for a second when you said, sometimes you need to bring in a fresh set of eyes. Yeah. And it's nothing against the hiring manager, it's nothing against the recruiter, but sometimes you really do need that different perspective. So from a sourcing perspective, when the team has to go out and actually hunt, what tools are they empowered with? How are you training them to go out there and find the right candidates?
Yeah. So being a public organization that's global, we have a lot of rules and regulations in a lot of different regions. And so right now we really just use LinkedIn Recruiter as a main source for us, as well as obviously the inbound applicant pool and referrals. And then we do a lot of internal mobility as well.
If you're in recruiting, you already know that sourcing eats up way more of your day than it should. That's why I use Pin. Instead of writing Boolean searches and tweaking filters, you just describe what you're looking for and who you're looking for in plain English. I could type something like software engineer at Series A startup with 0 to 1 product experience, and Pin will surface a relevant shortlist right away. No guessing, no wasted time. It turns hours of sourcing into seconds. So book a demo today and see for yourself. Visit pin.com/demo. Tell them Adam sent you.
I absolutely love that. Let's talk about referrals for a moment here.
Yeah.
All right. So are employees compensated? This is my first question because it's going to predicate the second one. Are employees compensated for a referral that's a successful hire?
So we took away referral bonuses. And that was actually done through some research on just how equitable is it when you're having a referral bonus. Secondly, it really doesn't increase the quality of the referral.
That's where I was going with that.
If someone's happy and they like where they work, they're going to refer people that they want to work with. And so we did remove that. A lot of that referral bonus started with, the Facebooks and your, Googles back in the day when they were targeting specific engineering candidates. But, to thread that through every single role in an organization, it just doesn't make sense.
It could certainly get out of hand, especially when people are using it as an income stream. And I always tell people too, when you're referring inside your organization, yes, people want to work with good people, so you have to watch the bias there.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the bias will get filtered out when that person goes through the interview.
Yeah, it's still an interview process.
It's still an interview. Are referrals prioritized in the inbound process?
They're prioritized in terms of having a conversation at the very least with, with the recruiter and potentially the hiring manager, but really at least a recruiter phone screen is where we get to. And then from there is the process that we've built that candidate still has to go through. And I can tell you that we haven't hired referrals and we've gotten senior leaders who have been upset of like, why didn't this person make it through the end?
Isn't that such a tough conversation?
It is.
But you have to keep it real with them. You have to say, listen, we understand that you may know them. They may be a friend of yours, but at the end of the day, they still have to go through the same process. There's no preferential treatment going on here. And it's almost like, would you want me to hire someone unqualified? We're all a team here. Together we all rise.
Yeah.
That's just not the way it works.
Yeah.
So I know we only have a couple more minutes. You have to get to your speaker. Let's have some real talk around AI.
Okay.
And what I really want to understand is, you obviously have your finger on the pulse of your team.
Yeah.
Are in the trenches recruiters scared that AI is going to replace them? What are they feeling?
Yeah. I think there is a fear of what it's going to change around the work that they're doing. And is it going to become more difficult to find a job? I did an exercise actually with my team to kind of bring them along and make them feel a little less anxious, which was, we're going to look at, and you tell me, let's write down anything that you're doing that you started in the beginning part of your career. So think, no matter how long ago you started your career, right? Like a year ago, 3 years ago, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you can name 3 to 5 things that you used to do that you're not doing now. And then what are you doing today that you didn't do before?
It's a great exercise.
Like, you can show them how much has actually changed in this industry already. Like we've changed so much.
I love this exercise. It's perspective, right?
Yeah, it's just visualizing
It's just visualizing it.
Yeah.
And you can give any example too. I mean, I'm going to use this moving forward. I'm going to try it with my kids. So how are you empowering them to use the AI in different ways that they might not be thinking about?
Good question. So we have used it to create sort of like our sourcing strategy. The other one was job description writing. So we have a job description builder that's built off of our own like database and skills and everything. I like to do some fun things with it too. And I really believe in FIFO, F around and find out. That's the only way you're really going to learn AI personally too. So a lot of times I'll take a job description from a client and I'll put it into GPT, and I have a couple different prompts where I turn it into an ad. Instead of a job description, I turn it to a job ad. Yeah.
And then I mess with it a little bit more and I tweak it and I say, what is going to make this description of the job the most attractive? And when I feel it's in a good place, then I reverse engineer. I say, where do these people work? Where do they, where am I going to find those people and go through it? So I always say kind of mess around and find out. So I know you want to add something?
No, I do want to add one thing. So, I mean, at Udemy, we've really prioritized AI learning.
It's a learning platform.
And so we have U Days, which is, our Fridays once a month where we spend focused on learning. And we have prioritized being able to have this sort of sandbox to try things out and see what it's like with AI. So in those moments, we have a whole list of where we'd love to use AI in our process. But being a public company, again, it takes some time to kind of bring that in and be able to actually execute on it.
So I'll leave us with one golden piece of advice for job seekers out there that are struggling. I know a lot of people are trying, they're repeating the same thing. They're expecting different results. Obviously, that's the definition of insanity. But from someone who's been in the industry a long time, what would you say is the underrated, missed opportunity? What could they do to really get them in the right direction?
Okay, there's two things. One, I think your network. Like you do really have to lean on and leverage your network and the people know you're connected to that you've worked with in the past. Number two is, honestly, I know it's so hard. Don't get discouraged. You just because you apply for a job, don't think you can't apply for that job somewhere else. It's just that moment in time in that company's, stage, size, whatever it is, that you may just not find yourself being successful.
Timing is everything.
Timing is everything. So I think just, it's perseverance through that. And I would continue to look, at adjacent sort of jobs and careers. Think about the skills that you have and how you might be able to transfer those into a different role. And
that's another great use case for AI for job seekers out there. Tell me what I'm missing. Tell me other industries. You can even walk the floor here and there's so many like tertiary industries, there's so many associated industries in the world of TA and HR tech. Wait a minute. I didn't think about that. I have these skills and I could do it there. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me. What's your panel on?
So I'm talking on immigration, belonging, and global talent strategy.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Well, I appreciate you joining me. Tell folks where they could find you, where could they connect, where could they learn more?
Yeah, thanks. I'm on LinkedIn. And then I'm on the panel here at HR Transform, and I just also filmed the Ashby Offer Accepted podcast too. So
good stuff. Oli, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks. I will link everybody up in the show notes to connect with her. Good luck today.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks so much. It was great.
Wisdom is forever, but for us, it's time to go. Thank you for joining us. Luckily, we'll be back with our next episode soon, jam-packed with more incredible humans. Thank you for listening, subscribing, and sharing. To join the conversation, search the Podcast on LinkedIn. And to catch up on past episodes and more info, please visit www.thepodcast.com.